NBC News Now. Disaster and damage can strike anytime. It's good to know the professionals at Servpro have the training and equipment to get your life back on the right track. Whether it's water, fire, or storm damage, for restoration and cleaning, count on Servpro of Clovis, Visalia, Fresno, and Shaver.
KFC's done the math, and we have the answer for your next meal. It's our 9-piece double mash meal, just $21.99. 9 drumsticks and thighs. Add 4 biscuits plus 2 large mashed potatoes with gravy equals delicious. The 9-piece double mash meal for just $21.99. Only at KFC.
For the first time ever, ninjas will race side by side. It's ninja versus ninja. Lay it all on the line. This is my time. It's gonna be close.
That was the best thing I've seen this season.
I'm speechless. It was perfection.
You told me you dream about getting a golden buzzer.
Education matters.
Mondays at 6:30 on KSEE 24.
For the first time ever, ninjas will race side by side. It's ninja versus ninja. Lay it all on the line. This is my time. It's gonna be close.
That was the best thing I've seen this season.
I'm speechless. It was perfection.
You told me you dream about getting a golden buzzer.
Yeas are 314. The nays are 117. The bill is passed.
Done deal. House Speaker and President Biden broker a debt limit deal receiving mixed reviews. Some Republicans even calling for McCarthy to be stripped of the Speaker's gavel. So what comes next, and how does it impact families here in the Central Valley? In his first local television interview since becoming House Speaker, Congressman Kevin McCarthy joins me exclusively.
Why did we give so much money up front? Why didn't we confirm that they had an active business license? Nobody really understands what Bitwise is as a company.
The Bitwise financial blunder, nearly 1,000 employees nationwide and at the Fresno-based tech hub out of work, and it could cost the city millions. And were they even given a heads up after granting Bitwise Industries a substantial amount of money? The mayor now threatening litigation. Fresno City Council member and Fresno County Supervisor candidate Miguel Arias joins me exclusively. And our panel ready to weigh in, from the House Speaker's clash with his own party to Fresno's setback into the tech-savvy world after Bitwise Industries turned into a money pit. Welcome to Sunday. It's KSEE 24 Sunday Morning Matters.
Now, from your local election headquarters, KSEE 24, this is Sunday Morning Matters with your host, Alexandre Balakian.
And good Sunday morning. Welcome into an all-new Sunday Morning Matters. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Alexandre Balakian. Please join the conversation on Twitter at RealAlexandre. Use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters. Now, along the way, Valley Congressman David Valadao and also Jim Costa will join me exclusively. But first, House Speaker and Valley Congressman Kevin McCarthy facing a rebellion from the right flank of his party after brokering the debt limit deal with President Biden.
The bill is passed.
I'm disappointed in the outcome of the vote. I think we could have done better.
Now Democrats have joined with McCarthy to pass bills. So there is a big reassessment of the coalition for power in the House.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy surviving a massive test with the help of a majority of Democrats. The deal to suspend the debt limit till 2025, brokered by McCarthy and President Biden, passes through the House convincingly, 314 to 117, 165 Democrats to 149 Republicans. It averts an economic disaster. The deal will add $4 trillion to the national debt. So what does this Biden-McCarthy bill do? It changes some policies, including imposing new work requirements for older Americans, receiving food aid and green lighting an Appalachian natural gas line that many Democrats oppose. It bolsters funds for defense and veterans and guts new money for IRS agents. What it doesn't do, no changes to Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. It's a deal that was done virtually in the 11th hour, but it has certainly come with plenty of backlash. Joining me now on the phone in his first local TV interview since being voted in as House Speaker, Valley Congressman Kevin McCarthy. Welcome to Sunday Morning Matters. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it greatly.
You know, describe to me the behind the scenes here, the chaos, the scramble to really get this done virtually despite everything that's happened with the discussions of the president to get this done in the 11th hour.
You know, there was a real problem. We always knew this date would be here. So back on February 1st, I went to the White House, met with the president, said, we've got a challenge here. We got a debt ceiling coming before us, and I'd like to sit down and work with you on it. And the only thing I say, Mr. President, is we can't raise taxes, and we got to spend less money than we spent last year. He went 97 days and said he would not negotiate with us. So what Republicans did, they passed their own bill, the Limit, Save, Grow. Only then did he start to negotiate. But he did it in a manner where he was in the room but not negotiating. That's why it took us so long to be able to get there. But this is a big win for the Central Valley. I mean, if you think about it, this is the biggest spending cut in Congress's history. $2.1 trillion is going to be cut. We take a rescission, meaning like COVID money that wasn't spent. We stopped sending $400 million to China for the CDC. We focus on America in the right places. But we did things much more. We got work requirements put in for food stamps. And what happens here is it helps people get off welfare and find a job. It's only for able-bodied people with no dependents. And then we went in and we were able to cap the amount of spending growth for government for the next 6 years. Then something really remarkable that all of us in the Central Valley would really like, reforming NEPA, the environmental review. Instead of taking 7 years to review something if you want to build a new road, we now limited it to 2 in 1 year. It hasn't been reformed in 70 years. And you think of the Central Valley when it comes, 71% of California oil and natural gas is produced there. But a lot of the problems stem for permitting and being held up. This will help ease that as well. So there's a lot of big wins here for the Central Valley. I'm excited by that and excited for more what we're going to be able to do in the future.
Well, let me ask you about that, because many in your district, your new district now, they need those food stamps and government assistance just to put food on the table. But the new work requirement that's built into this new debt limit deal, will they have a harder time accessing this assistance as they, as you said, attempt to try to get off of food stamps?
Not at all. You know, what you really want to do here is you want to help a person so they don't have to be on food stamps. You want to help them get a job. So all you got to do is 20 hours. You be going to school, you're waived. It's only for able-bodied people with no dependents. And we have found every study, whenever we have done this, more people get jobs. And what happens when you get a job? You got more money. You got positively to yourself, more ability to, with knowledge. You could buy your house. You could send your kids to college. I mean, it's just a positive aspect all the way around.
You know, I'm wondering from you, did at all, I know you talked with a lot of your Republican colleagues, but I'm wondering, as you were negotiating this debt limit deal with President Biden, did you at all consult with the former president, Donald Trump?
I didn't consult with him, no. I sat and talked with we spent a lot of time in the room just sitting there talking with the president's team trying to get this done.
So during the whole time of negotiation, you never once talked with the former president?
No, I talked, but I didn't consult him about that. The president called about other things I talked to him about.
I'm wondering also, is America going bankrupt? As by 2025, because 2025, right, you raised the debt limit, but 2025, we're looking as a country now at maybe somewhere north of $36 trillion in debt.
And that's a very good point, and this is why this is the biggest cut ever. But when you think about it, is when we negotiate about this, we could only negotiate over 11% of the budget. You're never going to solve this problem until you look at the entire budget.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the challenge. That's why as Speaker, I'm going to put together a commission of Republicans and Democrats that look at our long-term debt problems instead of sitting back and waiting until January 2025 to have to deal with the debt ceiling again. Let's look. And we're not going to solve this by one party. Both parties are going to have to come together. Mm-hmm. We've never had this high a debt. We've never had this high a spending in government. And we've never had this high of revenues coming in from government. So it's not a revenue problem, it's a spending problem. And we've got to get that under control. And we're all going to have to be adults in the room and find areas that we can eliminate waste. Find areas where we can make duplication go away. Find areas that we can cut back so we can live just like every other household does.
Well, you know, many of your GOP colleagues, as you know, especially in the Freedom Caucus, saying you sold out here. Many also saying there's going to be a reckoning and that your speakership could be in jeopardy. What's your response to their rebellion against you now?
I'm not sure what that would be about. I mean, are someone's against $2.1 trillion in savings in government? Are you against work requirements? Are you against capping what we spend? Are you against capping what the president can do with regulations? So you can have a difference of opinion, but I'm not concerned about the speakership. And it's rightfully so. People could have difference of opinion, but there has never been this large of cut to government voted on by Congress.
So in full confidence, you don't think that you will be voted out as House Speaker, knowing you gave a concession on how that could be done when you were voted in as House Speaker?
I don't know what concession you're talking about, but no, I'm not concerned.
Okay. I want to finish with this. Many of your colleagues have questioned the president's mental capacity to be commander-in-chief. You negotiated with him directly many times in the room to get this debt limit done. Is he mentally fit to be president?
We talked in the Oval, but the negotiations went with his staff from O&B and others, and my staff and other members as well. Look, this president was able to have the conversations. This president was able to work on this. This president was able to decide that he would finally agree to the cuts. I don't know why he waited 97 days to communicate with me, though, to sit down.
How would you describe your relationship with the president?
Look, he's the president of the United States. I respect anyone who's the president of the United States. I'm the Speaker of the House. We work in areas that we can find agreement, but I think he finds me pretty tough on the things I want to argue for, and one of them happens to be making sure the Valley has the water, the resources, and it can actually produce the energy and the food that this Valley needs, but also the world needs for us to produce.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy joining us exclusively here on Sunday Morning Matters. Appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, now that the deal is done, was there a winner in all of this, and does it offer families in the Central Valley a real sense of economic security? Valley Congress members David Valadeo and Jim Costa join me exclusively.
Real-time views where you live. The Valley Cam Network gives you the latest conditions live. See them on KSEE 24 News or online at yourcentralvalley.com. Powered by Eagle Mountain Casino.
Flex alert! Flex alert! Power outage is looming.
Oh, that's just alert. He's always getting worked up about something.
Flex alerts notify us of preventable power outages. That way we always know when to help stop one.
Okay, Flex, just drop some knowledge on me again.
Okay, I will. I'll turn our thermostat to 78. I'll unplug the blender, the hairdryer.
My blankie?
Yep.
Let's talk about it.
No.
Ooh, we can save the laundry till the morning.
Oh, yes, please. Oh, little things like this help save our power and help save us from outages. With Flex alerts, the power is ours.
Learn more at powerisours.org.
This may look like an action-adventure movie, but it's a Nissan sales event ad. Things are heating up. Good thing this Rogue has the most standard safety features in its class. Our competitors can't say that.
Get 0% financing for 36 months on select Rogue trims.
Hurry. These epic offers won't last forever.
A Hot Tubs. Hot Tubs. Hot Tubs. Major manufacturers and warehouses clearance of new 2023 inventory. Final day. Fresno Convention Center. Over 100 hot tubs on display and everything must go. New 2023 inventory. Hot tubs starting at $29.95. All inventory 40 to 80% off. Come see the revolutionary swim spa in action and save up to 60%. Trade-ins welcome. Free delivery. We'll even haul away your old hot tub. Worry-free installation. 18-month interest-free financing. Millions of dollars of inventory must be sold. Fresno Convention Center. Free admission. Call 833-SPA-SALE.
With 63 Daryl's Mini Storage locations, we make it possible to store your memories and keep your secrets secret. Daryl's has you covered since 1963.
Join KSEE 24 at the annual Citrelli Heart and Stroke Ball June 16th.
Well, Speaker McCarthy is facing GOP backlash. President Biden also feeling the heat from progressives on Capitol Hill, some calling it a bad policy and goes against Democrat values and abandons those Americans who rely on programs like SNAP, saying this deal expands on work requirements for food aid, making it harder for those families to seek government assistance. At the other side of the aisle here on the highly controversial debt deal, joining me now just in from Washington, Congressman Jim Costa. Welcome back to Sunday Morning Matters. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alexander. It's always good to be on Sunday Morning Matters because it does.
That's
it matters.
Right. And, you know, a lot matters after what we went through this week. Everybody was waiting for this deadline. It gets done here. And I'm wondering from you, you sent out a letter February 1st. You remember that letter that you sent out and said, let's get this done. You issued it to Speaker McCarthy and also the president, along with bipartisan support. Why wouldn't that get done back in February? And we had a lot of controversy leading up.
Well, we did, and unfortunately, those of us who signed the letter, I was one of the leaders of it, our wishes were not followed, and consequently, a lot of other things came up in between, and Congress works for better or worse under deadlines, and sometimes we don't always meet the deadlines, but we finally did the right thing and reached a compromise, as we must.
You know, $32 trillion in debt come 2025. That's going to be raised another $4 trillion as you suspend the debt ceiling at this point. And I'm wondering from you, is America bankrupt?
No, we're not bankrupt, but we certainly have not provided an effort to align our expenditures with our revenues, and that's the key, that's the challenge. In the 19 years I've been in Congress, we have voted to increase it 17 times, 3 times under the Trump administration. That was the last, and the whole time our deficit that you pointed out went from 17 trillion to 28 trillion. It increased by 25% during the Trump administration. If that had not occurred, we would not have to have lifted the debt ceiling as we did this year.
You brought me back a souvenir from Washington.
Right.
It is your vote on the passage of that on the House floor. And obviously, I know the votes, you know the votes. At home, if you're not counting, there were more Democrats in favor of this than Republicans. Does that surprise you?
No, because Democrats, in the years that I've been there, have always felt that it's one of our obligations never to put our economy in jeopardy, because this is our nation's ability to maintain, you know, a good functioning economy, jobs, pay Social Security, pay our veterans. This is all about our accrued debt. And America's not a deadbeat. This is about paying our bills. We have a problem with our overall debt, to be sure. And what that requires is Democrats and Republicans sitting down and trying to get an agreement on our expenditures versus the revenues that pay for what we prioritize as important.
I'm wondering from you, we heard from Speaker McCarthy in an exclusive interview. He says America won. He also says the Central Valley won. Do you agree?
Yes, I think that any member of Congress that, you know, threatens to shut down government or to not lift the debt ceiling and bring us into economic chaos is irresponsible. So America did win when we do this, and there should not be the drama, frankly, but to use those that wanted to use the leverage, and they attempted to use the leverage of the debt ceiling for other political agendas, were not successful, and that's why America won.
I'll finish with this. A lot of controversy over Speaker McCarthy's negotiation with the president, and I'm wondering from you, I know you're on the other side of the aisle here, and I know you would rather probably see Hakeem Jeffries with the gavel. Do you think his party really exploits the concession of the snap vote and puts his speakership maybe in jeopardy?
Well, I think there are a number of other issues that will determine who maintains the majority after the elections next year. But I think that, you know, I want every president to do well. I want every speaker to do well. And they negotiated, as they should, on a compromise. And I think the vote reflected that compromise. I think there are a lot of members in Speaker McCarthy's conference that, frankly, would just as soon bring the economy into chaos to fit their own political agenda, and that was a tough set of issues he had to negotiate within his own conference.
All right, Congressman, we appreciate the time. Thank you for getting off a plane and hopping right on Sunday Morning Matters. Appreciate
it's
the time.
important.
This is fabulous. This is one of the best nights I've ever been here. I thought it would be hard. I thought it'd be almost impossible just to get to 218. Now I found there's a whole new day here. We've woken them up. Maybe they listen to our speeches. I don't know.
Well, that is Speaker McCarthy following Wednesday night's vote on the House floor, being just a bit facetious there, touting this debt limit deal garners the biggest cuts in American history, but many in his own party threatening to rebel against him. So is there any chance Congressman McCarthy will be stripped of his speaker's gavel over the debt limit deal? Joining me now from Washington, South Valley Congressman David Valadao. Great to have you back here on Sunday Morning Matters. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I want to begin with your vote on the debt deal. What did you like? What did you dislike? And obviously, it's a done deal.
Well, I mean, obviously, there's never a perfect deal in Washington, D.C. And the fact that we're able to get the president to the negotiating table after him saying for months that he would not is a positive. I mean, ultimately, I think the American people want us sitting down at the table, talking to one another and having conversation to try to solve the problems for the country. I think the permitting reform was a big deal for us. I thought the caps on spending was a good one for us. Obviously, some of the things with getting folks back to work is a positive for us. And the debt ceiling ultimately needed to be raised. I mean, you can't have expenditures in law, as in what happened over the last Congress, when they pass bills and they sign them into law and actually put the dollars in motion where they have to be spent. You have to honor those expenditures. And if we had hit the debt ceiling and had to default, it could have been a problem for capital markets across the country.
Is there a real winner in all of this? Did the American people win? Did conservatives win? Did liberals win? Is there a winner?
No, there's never a real winner on a compromise like this. The reality is you've got people on the far right that are screaming bloody murder, and you've got some on the far left. And we've got one of my colleagues here in California, a Democrat, who's going to vote in opposition to it because he thinks it was too much of a giveaway to the energy industry. And obviously making sure that we continue to produce oil here in America, I think, is important. And so apparently we did too much. And it's always funny to watch both sides kind of scream at one another and say you gave away everything. But ultimately, I think there was a compromise there, and we got both sides of the aisle to the table, and we're seeing the fruits of that.
You know, Speaker McCarthy, as you know, facing some GOP backlash, mostly from the far-right members of Congress, including Texas Congressman Chip Roy, a member of the Freedom Caucus. He said, quote, "No matter what happens, there is going to be a reckoning." Several GOP members echoing that same sentiment, as you know. McCarthy agreed in January as a concession to his conservative critics. Any one House member can offer a resolution to remove the House Speaker. Do you expect that to happen?
I don't. And if they decide to make that decision on this negotiation, I mean, they're just shooting themselves in the foot. And the reality is we've got a budget coming up. We've got a whole appropriations process coming up. We've got a farm bill coming up. We've got a lot of opportunity to chip away at some of these huge expenditures that this government is doing. We chipped away at that with this bill, and if we start to shoot at one another and just creating these little controversies, ultimately the only people that lose are the American people. I think Speaker McCarthy's done an excellent job. He found a way to get the president to the table. He was able to get a bill off the House floor when everyone said couldn't be done, and now we're at the end of the negotiation for the debt ceiling. So we got a lot more ahead of us. And this game of he's not perfect, he didn't do everything exactly the way I want, and I'm going to throw my toys out. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, it doesn't win them any favors, and it doesn't do anything for the overall cause.
The race for the Republican nomination, I want to switch gears here because a lot of news is happening. We had Ron DeSantis jump in the race not too long ago. Mike Pence officially saying that he's going to jump in the race June 7th. And Mike Pence came to endorse you here in the Central Valley. So I'm wondering if you're ready to endorse Mike Pence, the former vice president, as Republican nomination of the presidency.
So I've said it for a long time. I'm not getting involved in anything presidential, especially in this cycle right now. But I mean, Mike Pence he was a great vice president. I've known him for a number of years and worked with him very well. I consider him a good friend, and I think he'd be a great president. But I also came to Congress as a freshman with Ron DeSantis. I think he's a great guy. You've got a lot of great people out there. I'm not going to pick any favorites just yet, but there are a lot of good people out there and a lot of good choices. So I really do wish him the best, and I think you'd do a great job. Congressman David Valadao, hey, we appreciate the time here, and have a great rest of your weekend. Appreciate the time. You too. Thanks for having me. All right, coming up, our panel ready to weigh in here. Did Valley Congressman Kevin McCarthy perfect the art of the deal, or did this deal cost him support? We'll talk about it next.
That's for you to decide, but you should know the facts. I'm not looking to tell people what to believe or what to think. I am here to tell you two things. Cuomo.
Boy, I hesitate to say this, but I agree with Chris Cuomo.
You don't have to like the outcomes, but we have to trust the outcomes. Let's talk about all of it.
This is the most in-depth and actually thoughtful conversation on this topic I've ever had.
So what do you think? Vet it, weigh it, be a free agent.
Weeknights at 8, 7 Central, only on News Nation. To find News Nation, go to joinnn.com.
Hot tub, hot tub, hot tub. Major manufacturers and warehouses clearance of new 2023 inventory. Final day. Fresno Convention Center. Over 100 hot tubs on display and everything must go. New 2023 inventory. Hot tubs starting at $29.95. All inventory 40 to 80% off. Come see the revolutionary swim spa in action and save up to 60%. Trade-ins welcome. Free delivery. We'll even haul away your old hot tub. Worry-free installation. 18-month interest-free financing. Millions of dollars of inventory must be sold. Fresno Convention Center. Free admission. Call 833-SPA-SALE.
Get ready to celebrate. Get ready to save. Get Memorial Day savings at Ventura TV. Save now on our huge selection of in-stock brand name appliances and electronics. Amana's dishwasher with electronic controls is just $2.99. GE's French door smart refrigerator is only $16.99. And Frigidaire's oven micro combo with true convection is now $23.99. It's in stock and ready for pickup or delivery. Get easy financing and the lowest prices in town at Ventura TV, your local low-price leader since 1951.
Thanks to your generosity, the Sequoia Symphony Orchestra brings world-class music and education programs to Tulare County. Great composers, timeless music. Donate today. Support the Sequoia Symphony Orchestra and keep the music alive.
Big trucking companies have big teams of lawyers working against you. Well, you've got a team too.
The Dunyan team will make sure you don't get cheated.
Call 1-877-DUNYON. DUNNION.
You're watching Sunday Morning Matters on KSEE 24, your local election headquarters.
So you can have a difference of opinion, but I'm not concerned about the speakership. And it's rightfully so. People could have difference of opinion. But there has never been this large of cut to government voted on by Congress.
Well, in case you're just tuning in, that was my exclusive with Speaker McCarthy at the top of the show after getting the debt deal across the finish line on the House floor. The Valley Congressman not at all worried about the GOP rebellion of his speakership. Lots to unpack with our panel this week, appointed by Governor Newsom to serve on the High-Speed Rail Authority Board. Former supervisor and former mayoral candidate Henry Perea is here, and political commentator Michael Dermanuel Jr. is here. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. All right, let's get right to it here. Obviously, you saw what the speaker said, and I'm wondering, you know, you used to know Kevin McCarthy firsthand, a long time ago. But
I also used to be a Republican, too.
There you go. But so I'm wondering, do you think his speakership is in trouble?
I don't think it is in trouble because, frankly, that job entails barnstorming the country, raising money for candidates, and really, it's really a political job. And I don't think anybody else in the House conference wants that job. They can huff and puff and threaten, but at the end of the day, do they want to be on the road 40 weeks a year doing that? They don't. So he's going to keep his job. But beyond that, with this debt deal, I'm kind of embarrassed, actually, watching their comments.
You're embarrassed?
I'm very embarrassed because for 40 years we've been hearing this nonsense about fiscal responsibility and you know, all these manufactured crises. Okay, this debt ceiling was a manufactured crisis. We're not going to default. It was going to get done. People in the country don't believe the drama anymore, and I think their explanation of it as a victory for the United States when we're going to 40 trillion in debt is absurd. So Democrats love to borrow and spend, and they love to brag about it. Republicans love to borrow and spend and pretend like they don't want to. So that is a uniparty in Washington.
You know, even Jim Gossa was praising McCarthy for getting the debt deal done and across the finish line. One, do you agree that he's not in jeopardy? Do you think he maybe lost support, though, from his GOP friends?
Well, there's no question he lost support. I mean, if you look at the vote, there were more Democrats voting for it than Republicans. I mean, so that's a signal. And just hearing the news feeds for the last few days about the Freedom Caucus and some of the concerns that they have. And yeah, he was weak, I think, to begin with. He's been weakened even more. But I think overall, I agree with Mike. I mean, this is kabuki theater. You know, everybody knew there was going to be a deal. You know, they just played it out to the last minute to show like they're doing something in Washington, but they really aren't. Yeah. You know, I was listening to an economist just the other day, and they were saying, you know, what they ended up saving was just a fraction of a percent. You know, spread over 10 years, they go basically nothing.
Well, let me ask you this, because Speaker McCarthy, even Costa and Valadeo said, okay, no one's a big winner, although McCarthy said America's a big winner, but they all say that the Central Valley is going to win. Do you guys agree with that? Is Central Valley a winner?
I don't
somehow
see,
out of
I don't
all
see
of
the
this?
win. I mean, unless there's some really fine detail on their earmark for the Central Valley, but I don't see it.
Well, I'm saying because the way I asked it, and I asked Speaker McCarthy this, you know, the Central Valley has, in the rural areas, some of the poorest families in America.
They just got poorer.
Yeah. Do you
because the national debt just went up $4 trillion, and they all have a piece of it. So no.
But when it comes to the food stamp situation and the work requirements, could Central Valley families be in trouble?
That's for the pollsters. That stuff's not even real. Okay, we're not spending less money. We're spending more. And when you add debt to the nation's balance sheet, you're adding it to your balance sheet, my balance sheet, your balance sheet. Who can be happy about this? I'm not happy about it at all. As a matter of fact, I think the reason it's happening is because they know if they don't deficit spend $2 trillion a year, the economy will collapse. You have to have that borrowing to prop up the U.S. economy. And they're all in on the game back there. That's why I'm embarrassed to see them come on here and say that this is some great deal for the country.
But they love Sunday Morning Matters, and you should too. Real quick, we got about 30 seconds in this first segment. Mike Pence is going to announce his presidency. We're going to have Ron DeSantis visit the Valley. I'll give people more details on that later in the show. But Trump's the front runner when it comes to polls. This is really starting to form now. This is getting fun.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting. I think with DeSantis in, now Mike Pence in, it's going to be competitive. I think, the polls right now show one person at the top, but polls change real quick. People's attitudes change.
Is Trump still the standard for a Republican Party?
Well, today he is, but I mean, we haven't even started the campaign yet, so I think it's wide open, and Pence is a decent man. We'll have some clear choices, I think, as a country about who we want to nominate on that side.
Do you have one yet? Because you're not Republican anymore?
No, I don't have one yet. I want to see who the street fighter is, who can get things done. And so that's going to disqualify a lot of people running.
All right. Guys, hang tight. We got a lot more to discuss. Coming up next, the financial blunder. All caught the mayor, the chamber, the city, and over 900 employees by surprise. Fresno-based Bitwise Industry has gone dark and silent. Where's the owners? How should the city respond? City Council member Miguel Arias joins me next.
Save thousands on the new revolutionary swim spa at a one-time sale. Final day. Fresno Convention Center. Exercise with low impact. Swim the entire year and stay in shape. Teach your kids to swim. Unwind and save thousands. Avoid the expense and maintenance involved with a pool. Swim, exercise, and relax in your new aquatic exercise swim spa. Installation and 1 day only. New 2023 inventory. 18-month interest-free financing. Millions of dollars of inventory must be sold. Fresno Convention Center. Free admission. Call 833-SPA-SALE.
It's time to end things. You're unreliable, and I can't keep fixing you. I want something better and more efficient. It's time for me to move on.
Breaking up? Don't settle for an old, outdated air conditioning unit. Upgrade to something better with Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating. When you trade in your old unit, we'll give you $1,000 toward a brand new energy-efficient model. Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating. We serve our customers, our coworkers, our community, and have fun doing it.
They fought for freedom. They fought for justice. They fought for you. Now it's time to fight for them. I'm Tulare County District Attorney Tim Moore. Every year, over 2 million seniors experience physical abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation. Our elders are vulnerable due to a variety of reasons, and it's important to recognize the signs. These crimes cannot be tolerated, and we must work together to end abusive cycles. Many cases of elder abuse go unreported, so please report. Our seniors deserve better.
For the first time ever, ninjas will race side by side. It's ninja versus ninja. Lay it all on the line. This is my time. It's gonna be close.
That was the best thing I've seen this season.
I'm speechless. It was perfection.
You told me you dream about getting a golden buzzer.
Anytime you have this kind of money involved and this many investors that are potentially owed money and taxes that haven't been paid, there's always a potential for additional legal ramifications. I just don't know what those are yet.
Mayor Jerry Dyer not pulling any punches after he says the city was blindsided by the multi-million-dollar financial blunder of Bitwise Industries. The tech hub, founded in 2013 to help the city of Fresno increase its tech footprint and revitalize downtown, furloughing its entire workforce nationwide of more than 900 employees, 300 of which are in Fresno, noting that their last paycheck bounced when they went to go cash them. Mayor Dyer threatening litigation after it was discovered the ownership group of Bitwise has not paid over $120,000 in property taxes to Fresno County. And the city just awarded Bitwise with $1 million grant, half of it already paid out. It's a very complex and disturbing series of events that has turned Bitwise into a black hole with possibly federal lawsuits now coming. Their co-CEOs have fallen silent, not returning initial calls to the mayor. Fresno City Council member Miguel Arias is here, also Fresno County Supervisor candidate. Appreciate your time. Bitwise falls right in line of your district.
Yeah, Bitwise is one of those companies in downtown Fresno that has been flourishing for a while, and they're a big part of Fresno. It's downtown, but not the only part of downtown Fresno's future.
So I'm wondering from you, was this a complete shock like it was to most elected officials, including the mayor?
I think it's fair to say that we, as a community and a city, are completely shocked of how fast this company has gotten to a situation. At this point, as a city and as a community, we have far more questions than we have answers, and those answers really lie in the hands of the leaders of the company. I anticipate in the next few weeks that other entities with authority over the future of this private company will weigh in and will determine the future of the company itself. So we're all going to take a wait and see approach until and unless it involves city resources, which we plan to take immediate action on.
You know, I'm wondering, and as I said, the CEOs have fallen silent. They came out last week, talked to GV Wire, said everything was fine. Haven't heard from them since. Have you talked to them?
I haven't. I haven't had any communication with them in months, ever since we, as a city, granted them resources to help small businesses through a competitive bid process. That was the last interaction that I've had with them as a company.
And I'm wondering, you talked about the $1 million grant from the American Rescue Plan afforded. Overall, it was a $10 million plan. Businesses got to put in their bids. $1 million ultimately granted. $500,000 was paid out to them not too long ago, just a few months ago. But now we're learning they were way behind in their back taxes when it comes to the Fresno County property tax. Why would the city of Fresno give that money out without knowing that in advance?
Some of those answers lie on the administration of the city and the mayor's office. Questions that we've been asking thus far is, why did we give so much money up front? Why didn't we confirm that it had an active business license? And why did it take us 18 months to find out that such a large business in downtown Fresno wasn't paying their business taxes? Those are basic questions that this administration under Mayor Dyer is going to have to address, and the city manager in the coming weeks, to ensure that this may be limited to Bitwise, but our overall concern as we enter budget deliberations on a $1.4 million budget is how many other Bitwises haven't paid their taxes and therefore created a revenue problem for the city of Fresno.
And I'm wondering here, the city council resolution that came out on Thursday, kind of give an overview. Again, this was a tech hub, and a lot of people are trying to figure out, well, was it more of a tech hub for other businesses to create websites, or was it more real estate? Do you even know what they are? The one common theme that I've heard thus far in this public discussion is nobody really understands what Bitwise is as a company. We know from our limited interaction as a city that they provide technical support for small businesses. That's why we granted them the competitive grant money. I know that they provide educational services for school districts and community colleges based on what's been publicized, but nobody really knows the full system of Bitwise. It's really only their leaders and their board of directors. And the resolution? The resolution, I believe, will get the support of the council. We take our fiduciary duty to protect public taxpayer money seriously. And I want to be crystal clear on this matter that any company that misuses public funds, you should expect that the city is going to attempt to retrieve those public funds back. Whether you're a Bitwise or you're any other company in our city, we take the protection of those public funds extremely seriously, whether it's $1 million or $3 million. I'm wondering, a lot of people are looking at this from the lawsuits and the loans that were taken out. Employees not even getting a last paycheck that was able to cash, it bounced. 401ks were not properly I guess, functioning, if you will. Is this a Ponzi scheme?
I don't know. Only the Bitwise folks can answer that, and only other agencies with the authority to look into their books can address those questions. I will tell you, our focus as a city right now is to do right by employees as much as we can. We are actively looking to see how much support we can provide them as a city to ensure that they don't become homeless themselves. We care about the hundreds of employees that call our city home, and we're going to do the best we can within our limits and our ability to help those employees transition to whatever circumstance that they find themselves in.
I want to ask you a couple questions away from Bitwise now. The garbage rate hike, I know that's been a big discussion among, I think, a lot of people in the community here after the mayor introduced it as a proposal in the upcoming budget. Where do you stand on this?
I've been pretty adamant and crystal clear with the mayor that he does not have my support for utility rate hike on residents who are on a fixed income in our city, on residents who have experienced a 40% increase on their rent, and more importantly, he has not demonstrated the need for utility rate hike because he's failed to disclose what the hike would be, even to the council itself. His budget proposes a utility rate hike, but it doesn't disclose what the hike would be. Secondly, he hasn't demonstrated that we have a revenue problem. As I pointed out, if the utility rate account is in red, if it's empty, why are we spending money on buying $1,000 tables for employees in the utility department to go to lunch with the mayor?
Miguel Arias, appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Still to come, Bitwise Industries, another big downtown disappointment, or just another company that couldn't afford to do business during these times. Our panel returns next.
Flex alert! Flex alert! Power outage is looming.
Oh, that's just alert. He's always getting worked up about something.
Flex alerts notify us of preventable power outages. That way we always know when to help stop one.
Okay, Flex, just drop some knowledge on me again.
Okay, I will. I'll turn our thermostat to 78. I'll unplug the blender, the hairdryer.
My blankie?
Yep.
Let's talk about it.
No.
Ooh, we can save the laundry till the morning.
Oh, yes, please. Oh, little things like this help save our power and help save us from outages. With Flex alerts, the power is ours. Learn more at powerisours.org.
A tradition of style and savings, Fresno's Suit Outlet is your go-to for the 3-suit deal. 3 suits, 3 shirts, 3 ties, 3 belts, 3 pairs of socks, and 3 hankies, all starting at $3.99. Fresno's Suit Outlet has your suit from sizes 34 to 74. Our fashion consultants specialize in coordinating the right look for any occasion.
Here at Fresno Suit Outlet, we got the big guys covered, and the bigger ones too.
Seriously?
Fresno Suit Outlet, Blackstone, just north of Shaw.
Hot tub, hot tub, hot tub. Major manufacturers and warehouses clearance of new 2023 inventory. Final day. Fresno Convention Center. Over 100 hot tubs on display and everything must go. New 2023 inventory. Hot tubs starting at $29.95. All inventory 40 to 80% off. Come see the revolutionary swim spa in action and save up to 60%. Trade-ins welcome. Free delivery. We'll even haul away your old hot tub. Worry-free installation. 18-month interest-free financing. Millions of dollars of inventory must be sold. Fresno Convention Center. Free admission. Call 833-SPA-SALE.
KFC's done the math for you, and we have the answer for a great deal on your next meal. It's our 9-piece double mash meal for just $21.99. Start with 9 of the Colonel's world-famous drumsticks and thighs. Add 4 hot home-style biscuits plus 2 large mashed potatoes with gravy, and it all equals a delicious meal everyone will love. Math has never been so easy or appetizing. The answer is KFC's 9-piece double mash meal for just $21.99. It all adds up. Stop by today, only at KFC.
With 63 Daryl's Mini Storage locations, we make it possible to store your memories and keep your secrets secret. Daryl's has you covered since 1963.
KSEE 24 News is brought to you by the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. You're watching Sunday Morning Matters on KSEE 24, your local election headquarters.
It's going to be a big blow to downtown Fresno, clearly, and Fresno in general. They're a big economic driver.
Scott Miller, the CEO of the Fresno Chamber of Commerce, just another city leader caught off guard by Bitwise hitting its breaking point. Let's bring in our panel back in here. Henry Perea, Michael Germanuel Jr. So Bitwise Industry furloughs entire national workforce here. Owes Fresno County back taxes, facing litigation, even in Texas. And I'm wondering here, did they operate in good faith with the city?
Well, it doesn't seem to me they operated in good faith with the city, its employees, and everybody else they were providing services to. I mean, when you have that kind of shuttering of the doors, people's checks are bouncing. The money that was supposed to go into the retirement systems didn't. There was something going on for a while, and I think the board of directors and I think the management team of Bitwise probably should be expecting a call from the DA probably pretty soon.
I would agree. It's sad because there's so many innocent victims here. I think a lot of people in good faith showed up, rented space from Bitwise properties. They had ideas. They wanted to incubate tech ideas and collaborate and work together. I think the concept of Bitwise was actually outstanding. But to see this kind of
wait, what was the concept in your eyes?
Well, the concept is it's really expensive to go do that in Silicon Valley. And so Fresno was a less expensive place to have a startup.
Go do what?
Well, whatever these...
I think that's what we're confused on, right?
I think people had ideas about software development and app development and coding. Then they layered in a training component, which I think was very valuable across the region. But then to see this looks like breathtaking mismanagement and maybe even malfeasance. And maybe crimes. And to go from where they were to this, and to think of the thousands of people that are impacted by this is it's just devastating.
Was the city duped?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because Arias is questioning the mayor's office over the handling of the American Rescue Plan grant of $1 million, $500,000 that already paid out, with not knowing that they were months behind on their property taxes.
Well, ultimately, the mayor and the council, you know, they're at the top, so the buck stops there. But there's no question somewhere down in the bowels of city government, people just weren't paying attention and weren't providing that type of information to the mayor and to the council about taxes not being paid, et cetera.
But is that natural? Is that something that typically slips through?
It shouldn't slip through. I don't know if it's typical or not, but I know in business we work on 30-day delinquencies in accounts receivable. This is a year and a half later, and 6 figures in delinquencies, which now turns out to be the big smoke that was shielding the fire.
You know, I'm wondering, and I asked Miguel the question, and he doesn't know. He's going to wait for law enforcement to butt in on this, but nobody's heard from the CEOs. They've gone real dark. We don't know if they're in country, out of country. We don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah, we've heard they've gone dark. The board of directors have gone dark. It's just, you can't find any of them.
Is this a Ponzi scheme? and again, I don't want to, allegedly, you know, I mean, you don't want to say anything until we don't know anything, but does it have the makings, the look, the smell, the perception?
It sure has the look of it. I mean, just looking at the transaction with that Texas firm where they provided multi-millions of dollars to purchase some buildings. Then on the back end, they're trying to sell the building and get more loans on them. There's something wrong there.
And they violated the loan covenants in doing so. There's been some excellent reporting.
Yes, by The Sun and by GV Wire. They both of them have been on top of that story. And so...
But those are crimes when you do that. That's fraud.
So that's why I'm asking, does it appear that way, or... I mean, you're a businessman.
Well, it certainly appears to me to be that there's some criminal element to this that is really bigger than we even know.
Well, that's why probably the DA will get involved. I mean, we have 300 whistleblowers now in Fresno. People are very upset.
True.
So, I mean, every day there is information floating throughout the city about things that they at least perceive happened. So,
real quick, Miguel didn't seem to think so, but the CEO, I think Mayor Jerry Dyer would agree. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm just saying, is this a big blow to downtown revitalization? Real quick, I got 30 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
It is, but it depends now how it recovers. You know, if someone comes in behind and purchases those buildings and tries to keep the same concept going.
4 buildings?
3 or 4.
3 or 4 buildings now vacant.
I mean, there's hundreds of people not downtown today. Spending money, going to lunch, going to coffee. So, yes, there's got to be an impact there.
Okay. Michael Dermanuel Jr., Henry Perea, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. All right, coming up next, the first presidential candidate to visit the Valley when we return.
This may look like an action-adventure movie, but it's a Nissan sales event ad. Things are heating up. Good thing this Rogue has the most standard safety features in its class. Our competitors can't say that.
Get 0% financing for 36 months on select Rogue trims.
Hurry. These epic offers won't last forever.
No matter where you work, an injury can happen. And when it does, you need help right away. The insurance company has a team of lawyers to make your case go away. Make sure you have an experienced team to fight back. At Barry Smith & Bartell, we know workers' compensation cases, and we know what it takes to win. Call us now for a free, no-obligation case consultation. Let us put the experience that matters to work for you. Barry Smith & Bartell, bringing justice to injured workers.
Hot tub. Major manufacturers and warehouses clearance of new 2023 inventory. Final day. Fresno Convention Center. Over 100 hot tubs on display and everything must go. New 2023 inventory. Hot tubs starting at $29.95. All inventory 40 to 80% off. Come see the revolutionary swim spa in action and save up to 60%. Trade-ins welcome. Free delivery. We'll even haul away your old hot tub. Worry-free installation. 18-month interest-free financing. Millions of dollars of inventory must be sold. Fresno Convention Center. Free admission. Call 833-SPA-SALE.
It's crunch time at A&W. Try the double barbecue bacon crunch burger, made with a tangy sauce, smoky bacon, and crispy fried onions, paired with one of our sides and an ice-cold mug of A&W root beer. This is a combo you don't want to miss. Or try our lemonade shake, creamy vanilla soft serve blended with lemonade and topped with whipped cream and a cherry. A&W in Visalia, Tulare, and Exeter. Prices may vary, tax extra.
Come as you are to A&W.
Hey there, I'm Dan Riley, inviting you to try our distinctive Riley's craft brews. Once you've tasted our unique beers, you'll ask for them at your favorite restaurant and store. Tell them to stock Riley's. Locally crafted Riley's Brewing Company, a hands-on beer for a hands-on life.
The Central Valley will get its first taste of the presidential race when Florida Republican governor and presidential candidate Ron DeSantis holds a campaign event in Coalinga June 19th. It's a midday event. Location has not been revealed. Admission is private, going at more than $3,000 a plate. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, Donald Trump's former VP, Mike Pence, will also launch his presidential campaign this upcoming Wednesday in Des Moines, Iowa. A majority of the national polls show Trump with a significant stronghold on Republican voters. Up next, President Biden claims he was sandbagged. It's our tweet of the week.
Thanks to Les Schwab tires, I'm a constant backseat driver, but Mom's a little stressed about spending. Remember, breathe in. Now watch your speed and breathe out. Good. Even though we're watching our wallets, Les Schwab is still watching out for our safety. So turn here.
Help keep drivers and backseat drivers safe with Les Schwab tires.
Book your next event at Tap & Cellar. We've got the rooms, food, and drinks for entertaining.
A tradition of style and savings, Fresno Suit Outlet is your go-to for the 3-suit deal. 3 suits, 3 shirts, 3 ties, 3 belts, 3 pairs of socks, and 3 hankies, all starting at $3.99. Fresno Suit Outlet has your suit from sizes 34 to 74. Our fashion consultants specialize in coordinating the right look for any occasion.
Here at Fresno Suit Outlet, we got the big guys covered and the bigger ones too.
Seriously?
Fresno Suit Outlet, Blackstone, just north of Shaw.
KFC's done the math for you, and we have the answer for a great deal on your next meal. It's our 9-piece double mash meal for just $21.99. Start with 9 of the Colonel's world-famous drumsticks and thighs. Add 4 hot home-style biscuits plus 2 large mashed potatoes with gravy, and it all equals a delicious meal everyone will love. Math has never been so easy or appetizing. The answer is KFC's 9-piece double mash meal for just $21.99. It all adds up. Stop by today, only at KFC.
Thanks to your generosity, the Sequoia Symphony Orchestra brings world-class music and education programs to Tulare County. Great composers, timeless music. Donate today. Support the Sequoia Symphony Orchestra and keep the music alive.
Save thousands on the new revolutionary swim spa at a one-time sale. Final day. Fresno Convention Center. Exercise with low impact. Swim the entire year and stay in shape. Teach your kids to swim. Unwind and save thousands. Avoid the expense and maintenance involved with a pool. Swim, exercise, and relax in your new aquatic exercise swim spa. Installation in 1 day only. New 2023 inventory. 18-month interest-free financing. Millions of dollars of inventory must be sold. Fresno Convention Center. Free admission. Call 833-SPA-SALE.
Higher education matters, and community colleges offer everyone an affordable education and chance at success. Go to yourcentralvalley.com, click on education, and see what being part of the State Center Community College District can mean for you.
Finally, our tweet of the week. A presidential tumble as Air Force cadets flip their tassels. Kind of a scary moment here, but President Biden saying, hey, he got sandbagged at the commencement for the Air Force Academy. He fell on the stage, but says he was not injured and continued with his speech. You see him there back at the White House hopping around. This tweet from our media partners at The Hill, quote, he's fine. There was a sandbag on stage while he was shaking hands. That from Biden's comms director. Social media did go a little frantic over this, and as you know, President Biden in good spirits, even making a wisecrack, saying he was sandbagged. I've said this before, and I'll say it again on this show. No matter what side of the aisle you sit, it's good to know the commander-in-chief bounced right back up. Have a sense of humor about it and move on. Just like our nation could have taken a financial tumble, but cooler heads prevailed. After all, I'm sure many of us have taken a tumble at some point in our lives. And as a reminder, it's not about the fall, it's about getting back up. And I want to thank all my guests over the years, you at home, for continued support. That's our time. Enjoy yourself.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm here to remind you that if you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, we have legal professionals standing by to tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Spokesman Tom Mustin is with us in the Help Center. So, Tom, tell the viewers at home why they should call in.
Well, Gina, they should call because we have live agents available for you right now. If someone's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth.
Hot tub, hot tub, hot tub. Major manufacturers and warehouses clearance of new 2023 inventory. Final day. Fresno Convention Center. Over 100 hot tubs on display and everything must go. New 2023 inventory. Hot tubs starting at $29.95. All inventory 40 to 80% off. Come see the revolutionary swim spa in action and save up to 60%. Trade-ins welcome. Free delivery. We'll even haul away your old hot tub. Worry-free installation. 18-month interest-free financing. Millions of dollars of inventory must be sold. Fresno Convention Center. Free admission. Call 833-SPA-SALE.
My name is Denise. Ask me about my Honda. I'm a chef, a Tahitian dancer, a golfer, and I love my Honda. My commute is on a 2-lane highway. It's super curvy, and I actually think my Honda enjoys driving it as much as I do. The Accord is dependable, it's great on gas mileage, and it's kind of hot.
Looking for a car with exceptional value that can keep up with all your flavor? See your Honda dealer for a delicious deal on Accord. Bon appetit.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. If you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you how much your case is potentially worth. So, Tom, tell the viewers watching at home who should call in right now.
Well, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault should give us a call right now. We have live agents available to answer any questions you have. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. You heard it, folks. Call now.
For the first time ever, ninjas will race side by side. It's ninja versus ninja. Lay it all on the line. This is my turn. It's gonna be close.
That was the best thing I've seen this season.
I'm speechless. It was perfection.
You told me you dream about getting a golden buzzer.